It's only been 2 days since a new Tory leader, and already they're not off to a great start. Badenoch had an awful interview at the weekend and has now appointed her shadow cabinet, which is basically just a reshuffling of the deck chairs. It's the same old faces that delivered them the last defeat. So, what makes me laugh is they seem to forget who's been in charge for the past 14 years, already trying to claim the current state of the country is down to the 3 or 4 months that Labour's been in charge. Yesterday, the new Education Shadow Secretary Laura Trott, who was in the Treasury in the last government and knows perfectly well about the hole in the finances that they hid from the OBR and the IFS, is now wondering why Labour are trying to raise more money, while simultaneously trying to claim everything was great under the Tories. And then there's Robert Jenrick, who has accepted the job of Justice Secretary. Looked like he was almost about to burst into tears. He clearly doesn't know his brief, which, is understandable, he only got the job yesterday, but going out there and trying to hit Labour with a zinger without actually know what you're talking about just makes him look silly. So I put them both together for you to enjoy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And there's been a lot of discussion about our record in government. Under Conservatives, England climbed international education league tables. What happened to Labour on Wales? It fell. Okay, youth unemployment went down. School standards improved. Now, that is the record of a Conservative government, and it's one that we're proud to defend. Does the Secretary of State agree that academisation was one of the driving forces behind this very good school improvement?
Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry to disappoint the right honourable lady, but we are going to be talking about their 14 years of failure for a very long time indeed. And that's because children across our country were failed by her party time and again. The children with SEND that we've heard about this afternoon. This was the measure that
Order. Mr O'Brien, please. Enough is enough. Secretary of State. Briefly.
Mr. Speaker, we are focused on driving up standards for our children, the length and breadth of our country, with more teachers, improved school budgets and making sure our children do not go to school in crumbling buildings, unlike the party opposite, who made sure that they went to school in schools that were literally propped up.
The problem that we have, Mr. Speaker, is that while we're learning the lessons of our defeat, they are failing to learn. They are failing to learn from the brilliant record that we have on school standards. Results improved, more schools good or outstanding, and now the party opposite are trying to undermine one of the very bases for the success. So can I ask the Secretary of State, why is she scrapping the Academy Conversion Grant when it has been such a push behind what we are trying to do in terms of improving school standards?
Mr. Speaker, they have learned absolutely nothing and parents won't buy it. We were faced with some very tough choices, Mr. Speaker, a £22 billion hole in the public finances that she, as the former Shadow Chief Secretary, knows all too well. We are fixing the foundations and rebuilding our schools.
A little busy over the summer, but during that time, the only group whose popularity this Labour government's popularity has increased with is criminals. How many domestic abusers and sex offenders who were released under their early release scheme have gone on to reoffend, and would they like to apologise to the victims?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I was going to congratulate the right honourable gentleman in his new role, but he seems to have a very short memory, and I believe it is he who should be apologising to the country as a whole on behalf of his government's woeful, absolute misabuse of our justice system and our prisons. Under the previous government's ECSL scheme, there was 0 exemptions that could protect the public. This government put in serious exemptions to prevent sex offenders from being released onto our streets, preventing those from serious violent crimes being released onto our streets, and I believe the right honourable gentleman should maybe have a bit of humility.
Robert Jenrick.
Well, there were exemptions in the previous government scheme, but the key thing is we need to get on and build more prisons. Prison works, and we need to see more prisons being built. The last Conservative government built more prison places than any prior Labour government in living memory, but we clearly need to go further. What funding has the Lord Chancellor secured to build prisons over and above those that were secured by the previous government? And does she agree with her other junior minister that fewer people should be sent to prison?
Again, Mr Speaker, I think the Right Honourable Gentleman forgets who was in power for the last 14 years and who failed to build any prison places. Just 500 extra prison places were built under his government's watch. This government has achieved a record £1.2 billion in prison building amount of allocation from the budget, and we will be going further. We are the party of law and order. I think the Right Honourable Gentleman needs to look at his previous record.
Badenoch should have really distanced herself from the previous government and the party's previous record for a complete reset and a way to start moving the party forward. Instead, she's ended up defending Partygate. What a brilliant start. You can see her doing just that in the video that's on screen now. Thanks for watching, don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.